Diva, Doomfist, Junkerqueen, Orisa, Ramattra, Reinhardt, Roadhog, Sigma, Winston, Wrecking Ball, and Zarya. Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about what your tank main says about you. This list will offend you, so stop, take a deep breath, and continue on. Meow. Diva. You mainly have two types, and it differs drastically. And the first type is the League of Legends player. You're absolutely cracked at the game. By cracked, I mean cracked. You took so much caffeine from soda that you somehow learned the ability to block a shatter with your defense matrix. Your timing of things is exquisite, and the only time you mistime stuff is when you try to talk to a girl at a party, but you think it's not the right time to go talk to this girl. And that one other guy snatches her up and you're left alone there, dick in hand, crying about how girls don't like nice guys. Scratch that, you don't go to many parties. You eat so much shit with your defense matrix that you somehow gained 30 pounds in real life as well. You stay on Diva no matter what, and it's not because you don't know how to play any other heroes. If you started as Diva at the start of the match, you will not stop playing Diva if you see a slight chance of winning. Your personality is questionable to say the least, and really questionable to say the most. Many of you turn into a demon when your team starts losing and say the most rancid shit that makes the poor supports scared to speak in voice. But when you're winning, you do occasionally compliment people, which is nice. You appreciate the finer things in life and often frequent the Rule 34 page. As a matter of fact, you are the guy with the sauce. Hey, who needs a girlfriend if you have a body pillow? Am I right or am I right?
Wait, what? You knew I was a Diva main? But I didn't tell you. How could you tell? Oh.
You have to take an effort to count how many days it's been since you last took a shower. And the second type, the E-girl. You're not the polar opposite of the first type, but there are some substantial differences. You most likely love playing female characters, and your hero roster consists of only Diva, Orisa, Widow, Symmetra, Mercy, and Moira. You're not too good at the game, and reside comfortably in the bronze to platinum range. You don't care too much about winning or losing, and Overwatch is almost a social game for you. You love cosplaying, you're damn good at it too. Whether you're pulling off a Diva jumpsuit or an 8-foot Winston costume, you have a natural talent at it. Some of you considered streaming on Twitch, and half of you followed through with it and got a sizable following, and half of you turned to OnlyFans and is sitting on a fat pile of dough. You definitely practiced the ooh voice at some point in the past. You're into roleplaying. You can be infatuated with someone, but often lose interest quickly and become distant out of nowhere. You have a very attractive personality, quote unquote, popular girl personality, but you tend to overthink and worry to the point where people start getting a little bit tired of you. Everything is gonna be fine. And there are 60% hentai enjoyers and 40% diva wannabes. I'm proud to say there are no bad apples in this group, just fucking weirdos. Doomfist. You understandably despise the Doom changes from Overwatch 1 and feel like all your 1500 hours on Doom has gone to waste. Most of you probably transferred over from being the DPS mains, and while you know he isn't the same and will never be the same, you just can't let him go. You're like a mother of a once outstanding child who was the textbook definition of a popular kid, but then met Stacy and decided to do heroin. Now he's a heroin addict, living his days on the side of the road, but you're still paying for his college tuition. You dream once a week about a heavily oiled up Doomfist bursting into your room twerking, which, I mean, you do you, I guess. You would rather play Doom parkour than go on dates. You have some pent-up aggression in you. You hope to release some of it when logging into Overwatch, but you soon realize that playing Doomfist 90% of the time makes you a bit angrier, and the cycle continues. You're basically edging yourself at this point. Doom players I have met have a pleasant personality. While they will be the first one to type DPS diff or support diff if the game isn't going well, they drop some really funny jokes here and there that makes me question my sanity. I haven't had the chance to date or date as a Doomfist main. I don't have much intel on what they like to do in their free time, but to my knowledge, they are the ones that play with their hot toys as they're pounding someone. I'm sure you guys aren't that weird, right? Right? Overwatch players aren't too racist in general, and if you think they are, if you truly think they are, you should really check out other games. But Doomfist mains make a copious amount of racial jokes, heinous amount of them. However, these jokes often aren't derogatory towards a certain race. It's just funny jokes that will get a few laughs here and there. That doesn't offend too many people. Roadhog mains, however, are a different story. 13% bad apples, 87% cuckolds. Alright, Junkerqueen. If you're a queen main, you guys are pretty simple, like a dog chasing cars. You see something you want, and you go get it. I know there are some of you that became queen main because Hog got a penectomy, but I'm talking more to the people that used to worship her before. You're the type of person that would always make jokes like mommy, sorry, mommy, sorry, mommy, sorry, and pretend like it's just a joke, but you secretly fantasize about getting tied to a chair and having your balls stepped on. You're not a strategist. You're more of a person that would go balls deep in somebody and say, "Baby, I forgot my condom." Because some of you playing Junkerqueen don't often have the personality of Junkerqueen, you don't really think like the thing she probably likes, which is to peg dudes. But people often assume you probably like and have similar personality as Queen and treat you rough, thinking you can take it and move on. But those insults really do stick at you. Yet many times you try to play cool and don't fight back. Most of you, honestly, just play Junkerqueen because she's such a fun tank to play right now and don't care too much about the lore. And you're still waiting for the day she turns meta. You also frequent the Rule 34 page. Not as much as the League of Legends type diva players, but you know, a considerable amount. Hitting an insane knife, although not as game-changing as Hog's hook or Ana's sleep, brings just as much satisfaction, if not more. Even if you are doing good, there will always be teammates that tell you to swap since they are getting dove by Winston. Be strong, my queen mains, and don't forget that with Hog gone, you have no other character to swap to. And there are 10% bad apples and 90% Dommy Mommy lovers. Orisa. I have mostly negative things to say about Orisa, so take an extra chill pill if you got one. 60% of you think you're good at the game. 40% of you know that you're shit at the game and are using Orisa as a clutch to climb low ranks. I've met new Orisa players who said they climbed from silver to plat in a week playing Orisa. This isn't about you as a person, but Orisa just makes the game not fun for, well, anyone. She has two abilities to just completely negate your damage, making you look like a cosmetic character as you try to gun her down. And one ability to cancel your ability and pin you to a wall to attempt to do some K-drama romance move. But it really just comes out as you basically molesting someone. And your ultimate is now inescapable as a low mobility hero like Ana. As an Ana enjoyer, not an Ana main, I don't know how many times I got cucked by that fucking horse. The satisfaction of hitting the spear on an Alting Sigma or Reaper is out of this world. About the only satisfaction you'll get playing this character. As an Orisa main, you are quite bland. You're like that really nice bowl of ramen that lacks the oomph. The things you say in team chat aren't weird or intrusive, but they're not memorable either. You're like that third wheel on dates. You're like that one friend in a friend group that hangs out with everyone when everyone is present, but can't hang out with one individually. You're basically an NPC. I know many of you Orisa mains will get at me when I say these things, but I want you to really take a step back and think for once before spamming in the comments like you spam your left click in the game. Are you really an interesting person? No. Think. Are you truly an interesting person? Hey, even NPCs don't like being called NPCs, but I don't make the rules, do I? You're still breedable, but you're just boring. You're like that one person that's not tight enough to be exciting, but isn't loose enough to possess the skills. All the half-joking flaming aside, as a person, you're a solid human being. You don't want to be a nuisance, and want to help the team in the best way you can. And I can appreciate that. You're not usually toxic, you're a nice person to have around and poke fun at. There are some people that just need to be poked fun at because they're so cute when being bullied, like a squishy melon, and they don't really know how to give a good comeback, and you're one of those. There are 5% bad apples and 93% NPCs. It's almost better to be a bad apple at this point, you know? Ramattra. Oh. What was that? I missed the 2%? That's the people that clicked off this video when I started flaming them because their program overloaded. Ramattra. Bum bum bum. I'm gonna be dead honest here. I don't know much about you other than you probably like chasing the meta or you like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You're like a squishy hero's nightmare. The way you run at us in your nemesis form with that 20% movement buff makes even the alpha cat boys like me wet my fucking pants. Like some Ramatras literally look at you in the eyes for a few seconds before finishing you off, and that's just sadistic. You guys like fucking look at us and then kill us. You have a kit to just bully someone into submission. Do with that knowledge as you'd like. You feel like a dried up cum sock when you spam my ultimate is ready button 17 times and go in just to get shielded and have your ult end in 3 seconds. Otherwise, your ultimate is still a win button in overtime even with the nerfs. Again, sorry, I don't have enough data on you guys, so feel free to type it in the comments what you're like, and I may add it in the description later and be brutally honest about your flaws. You guys are 20% heartless bullies and 80% sadistic bullies. Reinhardt. You are a Chad. This is not because I main Rein. Many of you take the game very, very personally. You're born in the wrong timeline. You should have been born in the Middle Ages where the knights roamed and there were maidens that you had to protect. Instead, you're born in this age and now you're a fucking Discord mod. To others, this seems cringe, but to you, there's actual honor in playing Reinhardt. Changing to something meta whenever the game is not going in your favor is weakness in your eyes. You get hard whenever you block a shatter. Your love towards your Ana is indescribable. You most likely want to kiss them, tell them how good they've been, and plow them at the same time. We all love you Ana mains. When you first started playing Rein, you used to blame your supports if they weren't keeping you topped up 24/7, or your DPS if nothing was dying. Now, in some cases, it is absolutely their fault, but as you learn how to play Rein better, you learn that you can help your supports by staying in their line of sight and charging in on cooldown to make space so your DPS can get some picks. You never play Ana more? Suspicious. Is this something I said? Those who didn't learn that skill can be extremely toxic, saying, "Where is my healing?" the first time they die, or "Why aren't we getting kills?" all throughout the game. You care deeply about Reinhardt's lore and shed a manly tear whenever you watch the cinematics. People who don't play Rein often think Rein is a hero that doesn't really require any skill. I've had a fair share of dumb fucks that say, "All you did was swing when we lost." However, to play Reinhardt, you need more than good aim and good tracking to win. You need patience. Because it's so easy to take things personally in a Rein v Rein matchup, you often get pretty heated when your team is losing. Since 9 out of 10 times your team will be blessing your ears with the Rein diff. The real challenge of playing Reinhardt is keeping it cool. Only the true Reinhardt mains will know what I'm talking about here. You will lose 99% of the matchups if you're angry. You will lose fights. The important thing isn't winning the battle, it's winning the war. Also, word of advice, don't be toxic towards other Rein mains. You may feel a small boost in testosterone, but ultimately you're ruining Reinhardt players' reputation. Besides, you saying Rein diff when it was clearly an Ana diff just makes you look a little bit pathetic. You're most likely a soft dom, but you know how it goes. And there are 55% bad apples and 45% steadfast crusaders. Roadhog, my huggy boy, big boy. Shh, I know how you feel. I tried to protect you, but all good things must come to an end. I'm sorry. At the time of this recording, your hero is basically a glorified sponge. Even the diehard hog mains are switching to something more viable as their ranks plummet into oblivion. And if you stayed as a hog main, I salute you. I would have more things to say if this was hog before the nerf, but all I can say is that you're a raging masochist for taking all the bullying from your enemies and your teammates. People think you're selfish, but I know deep down you aren't selfish. You just want to climb without depending so much on your support. So self-dependent would be the right word for you. You have an inherent desire to be toxic. You may be kind-hearted in real life. There's like that 2% chance of you being a nice person in real life. But when you log into Overwatch, all the racial slurs and the most offensive phrases pop into your head. You love playing with your food. And by food, I mean the poor little squishies that got hooked from their spawn. You love to see the fear in their eyes and the screaming tears running down their face as they beg for their life. But you kill them after humiliating them and type something heinous in the chat. By the way, this was hog before the patch. Right now, even if you hook people, they have enough time to eat their meat 3 times, scroll through TikTok, and then survive and leave. Secret psychopaths? My third most played hero. Your chats are closest thing in the game to a League of Legends chat or Call of Duty voice chats. You want the voice line Good Kitty from Ana to be on Hog. Imagine how good that would be. Just imagining it probably just made you cream. I don't even want to talk about your homework folder. There's some shit in there that makes me lose faith in humanity. Disgusting. Shame on you. Can I have the sauce? Asking for a friend here. You may be many things, an incel, a degenerate, or a League of Legends player, but you are no simp. There are 70% bad apples and 30% rotten apples. Uggy. Sigma. You are highly calculated. You kind of have to be to play Sigma. People think Sigma is a really hard character, but to my knowledge, he's not incredibly hard to play since he has 3 very strong defensive abilities, and he dishes out so much damage. His kit may take some time to get used to, but he's not as difficult in my opinion as someone like Zarya or Hammond. You are Ana main's living nightmare. Everything in your kit just makes Ana mains want to crawl in a corner and sob quietly. You love making feet jokes about Sigma, but you're not the ones with a foot fetish. Sigma is more prevalent in higher elos, but being a Sigma main most likely means you're pretty goated at the game. Now this next attribute doesn't directly correlate with Sigma mains, but it is somewhat related. Sigma's lore and character design is, in my opinion, the best in the game. I don't like Sigma that much, but the fact that he went insane and started hearing a melody in his head after harnessing the motherfucking gravity just by studying the metaphysics of gravity, and I assume rewriting the entire theory of general relativity, is just wild. Now what does he do with all that power? He can float, throw big rocks, and make people take fall damage. His voice actor is incredibly talented as well, and when he goes "Het universum zingt for mij," it's always a treat, and it is kind of required of all Sigma mains to always scream, "The universe, it sings to me, it sings. The universe sings to me," whenever you get a play of the game. Otherwise, you're not even a Sigma main at that point, you know? You're not too brave, but don't let anyone hold that against you. You fight with skill and coordination over brawn and brute strength. And you guys are 100% schizophrenic. You thought I was gonna say Sigma males, didn't you? Winston. Let's be honest, none of you call Winston Winston. It's always Winston. There's 3 divisions in your character: the monkeys, the Winston mains, and the Korean Winstons. The monkeys, as you can probably imagine from the name, have fun playing Overwatch. You love diving into a helpless squishy character and have a kinky little electro play with them. You love crouching and walking around. When Winston crouches, he's the only guy that actually has 4-legged walk. Very funny to look at. I am so sorry. I should have been speaking in the language you understand. Winston walk, Winston jump, Winston ooga booga, Winston kill, or Winston get killed. Winston see Reaper, Winston scared, Winston together brave. Winston, would you like some peanut butter? Now the Winston mains are very skilled at the game. Some stupid people think the word skill equates directly to aiming, but there's so much more to Overwatch than just aiming, and you can never say Winston takes no skill. A good Winston main will somehow squeeze their way to the crevice between the tank and support and cockblock them effectively. You have a general understanding of how to use Winston's ult, while the monkeys described earlier will use Winston's ult as a panic button when they get low, and feed about 20% of the enemy's ult charge. You Winston mains will be able to secure about an average 0.6 kills per ult. That is still 95% better than what non-Winston players can get with his ult. However, you haven't reached the final form. The Korean Winstons are a different breed. Disclaimer, you don't need to be Korean to be a Korean Winston. It helps though. Now I'm Korean, and I'm not a Korean Winston. So what's up with that, Blizzard? You can secure an average of 2 kills without nano every single ult. You reside comfortably in the Grandmaster ranking, and it's almost scary how well you have mastered this ultimate. So props to you. Funny thing is, when you reach the Korean Winston status, you will inevitably go back to some of the monkey traits. It's a literal embodiment of reject humanity, return to monkey. Most Winston main I met weren't ever really toxic, but were rather baby-like. They would whine a little bit, but it's not like those annoying whine. It's like the adorable whines where they go like, "Oh, I want fucking cookies" or something. Most Winston mains are very funny, really chill to be around. And there are 5% bad apples and 95% banana deep throaters. Wrecking ball. Look at this little guy. You remember how I said Sigma mains are Ana's living nightmares and how Sigma mains don't have a foot fetish? Yeah, that Well, that's because Ana mains can stand to look at Sigma mains, but not you cute little rodents, you feet enjoying rats. However, while Ana mains' hatred towards Sigma mains are one-sided, your malice towards an Ana main is mutual. That sleep dart has a hitbox big enough to hit an ant in another continent. You guys are an embodiment of chaos. You are what the Joker would main if he played Overwatch. And the 100 shield health buff just made you go feral. I bet you got up from the bed when you saw the patch and nibbled on a pillow or something. You not only love the gameplay of Hammond, but you also just love the little rat. I can't blame you. Even as an Ana player, that sewer living 2-foot rat is pretty adorable. You religiously watch a ball YouTuber like Yeetle or Chasm, and you barely go outside if you don't have to. You guys are pretty hated in the Overwatch community, but you guys don't really care. The hatred just fuels you. Knowing that someone hates you just makes the game a little bit more fun. I've met a few ball players that were toxic, but most ball mains either never join voice or join and make some bizarre comments. Like, don't get me wrong, you love saying slamming in 3, 2, 1 and all that, but you also love pointing out how horny you are for some reason. I don't really know why. If you ever hear someone randomly moan or make a really weird noise in comms, chances are it's a Hammond main. You will call Wrecking Ball all the other names except Wrecking Ball. There's Hamster, Hammond, Ham, Hamster, Ball, Rat, Rodent, fucking Gerbil. And I heard someone even call him Miley Cyrus at one point. But you guys never call him Wrecking Ball. You guys are most likely ball one tricks, and only a few of you swap when you definitely feel the need to swap. It's not ego per se, it's more like a child not wanting to give up their toys. Honestly, Hammond is pretty hard to get good at and extremely difficult to master. So props to you guys. Just my only advice is to see some sun from time to time for legitimate health concerns. Otherwise, keep ballin'. And there are 30% bad apples and 70% social outcasts. Zarya. Damage, damage, damage. You're like a drug addict constantly looking to deal damage. Needless to say, you're pretty goated at the game. You not only need to track cooldowns flawlessly to be good, you need to have a decent tracking ability. Be mindful of your positioning and keep thinking about who will take the most amount of damage. While you are good at the game, 90% of Zarya mains I've encountered have a massive ego. And sure, some of you may go, but my skill backs it up. I don't think you guys realize that even the best athletes aren't looked at in a good light if they have a massive ego and is constantly talking about how good they are and how bad their teammates were. You are most likely the one with highest damage in the game. If you're a good Zarya main, you know when to swap the other tank if necessary. Many of you like smurfing. There's no statistics to prove this, but it's just true. You're generally fit IRL. You probably snort protein powder and look for ways how you can deal the most damage to your muscles at the gym. Some of you like big strong women dominating you, and some of you like being the big strong woman. But ever since Junkerqueen came out, your player base turned pretty vanilla. The kinkiest Zarya main I can see is like someone who experiments going in raw, and this reflects on your playstyle. If you have bubble, aka protection, you aren't really afraid of anything, and you will fight even the Overwatch devs themselves. But if you're out of bubble, you will hide behind your supports, and there are 50% bad apples and 50% roided up monsters. Oh, DPS is gonna be painful. 17 DPS. That's gonna be fun, innit? Oi.